Hello and welcome back to the Victorious'Wool podcast. I'm Victoria. This is episode 52. Just checked on my YouTube page to make sure. I haven't done this in a couple of months now, so I'm a bit out of practice, and I'm setting up my stuff and sitting here going, do I remember how to do this? So if I seem a little awkward today, it's because I got to get back in the flow. I'm a omnivore. Sometimes I can talk a lot. Sometimes I don't want to talk at all. And so it's best to podcast, best to make a video when I feel like chatty already. And I have talked a lot earlier today, so I thought that it would be maybe a good time start of June. It's been a while. I haven't really posted much to Instagram, just stories. I haven't made a reel in several months. So I have quite a lot that I haven't really shown. I have been good, like I said, to posting Instagram stories, just like stills of my progress in my projects, which is fun. There's a couple of friends who I used to text every day pictures of what we were knitting all the time, and that's dropped off a little bit. But I really enjoyed having someone to report to about what I was doing, because when you knit, as you probably know, you do it alone a lot, and it's very exciting to make progress. But if you don't have anyone to share it with or anyone to cheer you on, it feels a little sad. So it is fun to at least post Instagram stories to share it with people in that way. If I'm not gonna, make a post or try to make some sort of something, marketing something in a reel or in a newsletter, at least I can post on a story. So if you've been missing me or haven't seen me in a while, it's just because I lost some social media steam. But we're heading back into fall, so I've been knitting a lot more, and that means I have lots to share. So I'm going to get hopefully back into doing all of the things, starting with talking to you. Let's see. I've got just 3 projects in process. I have not, how would I describe this? I've been knitting a lot this month, like finishing a lot of things, but before that I hadn't really knit a lot, so I feel like I just caught up and getting back into it after really being really relaxed most of the year. So it's weird because I'm doing it a lot right now, but I recently wasn't. But I have a lot to show you. So it seems like I've been knitting. Somebody on Instagram said, I just really admire your speed. You're able to knit so much. And I'm like, actually, remember, this is social media. This represents not reality. So I haven't actually been knitting very much this year. I've just been posting a lot recently, so it seems like it. So that's also what this video will represent. It seems like I've been doing a lot, but it's just all happened in a short period of time. So the finished objects, I guess the first one would be really what I'm wearing today. This is the basic tee. I think Susanne Muller. And I believe I had it on needles when I videoed last. It has these really cute sleeves that kind of go up. It's a little boxier. You knit it from the bottom up. It's perfect. It looks exactly like it did in the modeled photos, which is always great. At least it can look like it does in the pictures. And then it also fits me really well. And I like the arms a lot. I thought they were going to be too small, too big. Too big? I think I thought they were going to be too big, but they're perfect. There's just a little bit of ease down here. And I probably will make this again. It's a sport weight, so it's a little tricky to find the right kind of sport weight. This, I believe, is Ulysse, or Ulysses, from Natura, which is a sport weight of their Gilead. It's a French wool. It's really nice. It has a very downy feeling. I don't know if that is a word that describes the word that it means something to you. I'm not sure where I got that word from, but something feels downy. It's super light. And woolly, but soft. I don't know, I really like it. I was thinking about making it in a superwash. I have all this MadTosh here that's very saturated and heavier merino that I think could make a nice one. I think this white ball right here is their work sock, which they don't make anymore, which is a sport weight, like superwash sock that could possibly be really nice in a tee like this. I don't know. Anyways, I'm sure I had more to say about it when I first finished it. I really do like it. It's a great fit. So if you're looking for a good t-shirt, boxy t-shirt, I made it not necessarily to wear in the summer, because wearing wool in the summer, wearing any knits, I mean, we knit summer and spring projects and shawls and stuff, but do we really wear them? It's more like we work on them in the summer and the spring, but do we wear them often enough to warrant making lots of them? I don't know. I made this one to go underneath cardigans in the summer, or in the fall, winter, and early spring. And I haven't done that yet because it's been so warm here. We haven't hit really above 90, but we have had lots of warm days, lots of 80-degree days. So in the Pacific Northwest, historically, we get like, our summers are really a mixed bag. It can be smoky, it can be hot, we can be in a drought and not get any rain for 3 months. But this year we've had really nice so far. It hasn't ever gone above 90, and most days have been in the low 80s. It's just gotten a little cooler now. We did have some smoke for a few days, but it passed pretty quickly, so I feel really grateful for that. It rained this morning. It was a little chillier, so that's why I'm wearing a sweater, even though I'm starting to warm up. I should probably take off my wool socks. That will help. Yeah, so I'm happy with this one. Not soon after I finished this, that I picked back up this woolly sweater, which I will not try on for you at the moment. Trying to decide whether or not I want to promise that there will be footage of me wearing it in this video or not. Because that means I'd have to put it on in the next day or so outside. It's just, I don't know. I want to show you because it's incredible, but I really don't want to put it on. It's far too warm for this. It's also really big. So this is the Gentle Lopi. I think it's a play on Gentle Giant because it's so large. So it has big, wide sleeves, a really deep yoke, and I made mine extra long because I'm about 6 feet tall. It's supposed to be a tunic. I made mine a dress because I was knitting on the body of this and I was having such a good time, and I split for the hem because it's got a front and a back hem that are different lengths. And I was working on the first part of the hem, and I got really sad that it was almost done. And I tried it on. I thought, I have lots more yarn. I'm enjoying this project a lot. I should just make it longer. So it hits the bottom of my knees, I think. Let's see. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why I don't want to put it on. Because this is Plotulopi. This is like warm, and it's really a lot of wool. But I'm gonna love it when it actually gets cold. The details on the raglan, you add a crocheted braid to each raglan, so 8 of those, and you add one onto the cuffs, and you add them onto the hem. Front, back. So it's beautiful. I'm very excited to wear it. I haven't put it away. I finished it in July. And I just folded it up and put it on my desk chair because I'm waiting for a gloomy day to put it on and enjoy it for the first time. I think if I wear this in the fall, I probably won't have to turn the heat on for quite a long time. I won't need it because it's so warm. So anyway, that was a very successful project. If you're thinking about knitting that, if you live in a place where you would need such a garment, not everybody is going to need that. I highly recommend it. It did not take, I went into it, and this is part of the success. I went into it thinking this is going to be a project I'm going to work on all summer. It's going to take forever because it's so long. But the gauge is pretty big, and it went much faster. So that's why I felt confident in ripping back and making it longer. Then I made a hat. This is minted by Andrea Mowry. And by the way, the Gentle Lopi is by Melody Hoffmann, and I'll link all the patterns in my show notes. But this is minted by Andrea, and I used a work sock MadTosh, I think in the color Dopamine, which I don't know if they make that color anymore. They don't make this yarn anymore. I held it double with Oh Dang Mohair from The Farmer's Daughter. It's not mohair. It's Siri alpaca, silk Siri alpaca. Anyways, in the color Juniper. So they just made a really nice combination. I need to put a pom-pom on it still, and I haven't blocked it either. So I'm going to block it a little whiter. Cute. Boop, boop. Yeah, I think if I put a little pom on there, it'll be really fun. This was a very quick project. I think it took me 3 days total. I could have I probably finished it on the second day, but I did something else instead. So, but yeah, it's also sitting on my desk chair, waiting to be blocked. I'm going to put a balloon in it. Have you ever done that when you blocked a hat? You put a balloon in it and blow it up to like where you want the hat to expand to. I would make this pattern again. It was really fun. I added an extra for all those very, very detail-oriented people. I added an extra cable. So, they come back together right here. That's not part of the pattern. It stayed open and just went straight up. But I wanted to make my hat a little taller because when you wear hats, they stretch horizontally, and that decreases the height a little bit because wool doesn't stretch vertically and horizontally at the same time. So I knew it would shorten it, and I liked the length. I like a little bit of extra poof on top. So I just added, I think, maybe 4 rows. I can't remember now. And just continued the cable as it had been on the previous repeat. Then I put all of my energy into the Surety by Ventzel. And finished it. I can't believe I finished this. I have so much to say about this sweater. It's very cute. It has a poof sleeve. It decreases right here at the cuff, so there's a little bit of balloonness that happens. And it's gonna be cute one to wear. It's also too warm right now, even though it's an all over lace pattern. This is a lot of wool. This is a lot of wool. So she, I think, knit hers with a plant fiber blend, like bamboo and viscose and cotton or something, held together with a strand of alpaca, straight alpaca from Istex. And I tried to get those yarns, but they were sold out. I mean, I remember looking online for quite a while to see if I bought the alpaca here, could I get enough? And sometimes it's just hard to get enough of any particular yarn from one shop when you're buying online. I mean, even if you were buying in person, but it was hard to find. I wanted to buy them. I whenever I cast on a project, now I have so much yarn. I don't, right now I'm not in a place where I want to buy luxury yarns. Like I want to buy like either affordable yarns or like inexpensive. Like I just bought Cascade 220 from, I think Cascade Yarns is the company's name. I haven't used a wool in a long time. I was one of the first wools I ever used. So it was fun to kind of like, okay, I'm going to go back to one of the most original ones. I specifically did that because I didn't want to spend a lot of money on the sweater that I'll tell you about in a second. So right now I just sort of have like I want to cast on this project. I maybe want to buy yarn for it, but I don't want to spend that much. But I want to, like there's just like a lot of conflict. So I got, instead of buying the yarns that the pattern recommended, I used 2 strands of Purl Soho's linen quill, which I already had in my stash. I think I already had it. I have already used it. I think I still bought yarn for this because I wanted to make sure I had enough of the same lot number. And that is a problem if you're buying from online shops. Any shop. They may not have enough skeins. Sure, you could get a couple more skeins from a different company, but you'd need the same lot numbers, and I just hate to have slightly different yarn. Doesn't work out. Makes me sad to knit projects like that. So anyways, I use linen quill, which means that this yarn, this is probably, I think, heavier than originally intended. It's a DK weight. I got gauge, but it's heavy, so it's not a spring knit. Maybe the other one might have been more light and could have been a spring knit, but this is what I made. Is not a spring knit. It looks great. I need to block it still. Maybe I'll wear it next time, blocked and with a cute skirt. But it was a lot. I'm gonna put it on my shoulder because I'm not gonna talk about it for a while. I futzed with a lot of things. I think I've mentioned last time that I have a deeper, from the top of my shoulder to like under my bust is longer than average. And so I need somewhere in the whole length of my torso from the top of my shoulder to my hip, I generally need 2 more inches in a sweater. That can be in different places, but I probably need, well, it's hard to say. It might even be 3 inches in some cases, depends on where it's supposed to hit me. But I definitely need a couple more inches in between shoulder and waist, because when I buy ready-made dresses, the waist is like up by my ribs. They're way too short. So I need to extend that part of it. And so I tried to make the front and the back shoulder, which you knit separately and then join in the round, because this was top down. I needed to make that longer, but that meant the armhole was bigger. So when I picked up sleeves to the armhole, that meant I would have more stitches. So I was concerned about that fairly early on, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do when I get to that point. I'm just going to make the back 2 inches longer than the pattern says, and I'll make the front 1 inch longer so that, there is a height difference in the back. I don't know if I had the brain power to communicate clearly the thoughts I've had recently about neck shaping and short rows, and like a lot of sweaters seem to put short rows in the back of a sweater to bring the height up in the neck so that the front neck drops, but actually I think necks need to really actually be shaped with like decreases and increases depending on which direction you're going, as opposed to just like adding more fabric in the back, and that will help drop it, because it doesn't necessarily work for every shoulder shape. It doesn't seem to work for mine. Anyways, this one is okay. I need to block it to see. It's rather straight across, but I'm hoping that I can block it to really open it. I don't know. I could definitely open it horizontally and pull it, but I might just cut across my throat. There was shoulder shaping, but it's definitely a boat neck, and that's kind of what boat necks do. Anyway, so once I got past that point, cast on each sleeve. The first one I knit for way longer than the pattern said. My arms are just giant, man. So I was a bit on the annoying side just because I had to make the sleeve so big. And then I tried it on, it wasn't long enough. So I went back and added another couple inches, I think. And then I tried it on again. I thought maybe I made it too long, but then I decided to go do the other one so I could really see. Sometimes you don't know if something's too long or too short until you have most of it most of it made. So you can really see how it sits on you. Made the other sleeve. I didn't bind off either one for that reason. Picked the body back up and then knit that. And then when I did finish the body and tried it on, the sleeves were fine, so I didn't go back and change them. And I don't think I made the body as long as the pattern either. I think I shortened it because I made this to specifically tuck into high-waisted skirts. So I'm happy with it. I will wear it once it's blocked and also when the weather provides the right temp. It's funny to knit things, be like, I think I'm happy with it, but I don't know because I haven't worn it yet, even though it's been done for several weeks now. I don't know for sure how it will go, how it will be in the wardrobe, but all over lace patterns are tough. It's like you can pay attention a little bit, but then I memorized it. So I didn't really have to pay attention, but it still felt burdensome. And I realized it was because I didn't have something I was watching or listening to that was entertaining enough. And so I needed to find something that it's either the knitting is entertaining and therefore what you're watching or listening to can be less so, or it has to be the other way. Your knitting is boring, but you're watching a really exciting show, or you're listening to a really great audiobook, or having a really great conversation with someone. And then the moment is wonderful. So I went in and out of hating this one as I went on and on with it because it was a lot of knitting. I used a US 3, so it took me a long time. Somewhere in the midst of all of those projects, I cast on the September sweater. And I'm in the middle of 2 parts of it. I haven't worked on this in a little bit because it got hot, and 2 strands of Lopi and a strand of mohair. It's not conducive to 80 degrees or higher. So I stopped, but I will pick it back up soon. This is a PetiteKnit pattern. It's going to be long sleeve, oversized, folded turtleneck. So I did the shoulders a few weeks back, split for the sleeves, knit a couple inches, and then decided to change things up and started the full twisted rib turtleneck, which I'm I'm a little bit more than halfway through with the turtleneck because it's going to be folded over. I don't know how Lopi and mohair full turtleneck will be wearing. I might need to wear a turtleneck underneath it, which is totally okay. Because you know, it is itchy. We'll see how it goes. Look at this back seam, how nice this is. Yeah, it looks good. But this yarn combination, so lovely. This is the, I think, Burnt Ember Lopi, and then the mohair is Rust. I'll have to check. Pretty sure it's Rust from Knitting for Olive, because Knitting for Olive has like the best selection of mohair colors. They just like have a lot of mohairs that are, it's not that the colors are close together, but they just they'll have 7 different reds or something, like a lot of different ones, so that you really get to choose lots of blues, lots of greens, lots of browns, lots of pinks. So it's nice to have just a lot of colors to choose from. Some companies just have, 1 red, and that's it. That's all you get to choose from. So anyways, this is fun. Then I started working on the Diaphanous Raglan again. I started that a few months ago, and you knit this one. In my last episode I put it on. You knit one shoulder and then the other shoulder, and then you put them together in the round. I had it joined. I finished both shoulders and I had it joined in the round, and I was knitting on the body, and then it had me put in markers on either side for the waist decreases. And I realized that I had knit one of the shoulders wider, 24 stitches wider than the other, because I knit the smallest size. That's what I decided to do. I'm going to knit the smallest size. And then I followed the directions for the second smallest size when I did the first shoulder. So I added 24 extra stitches. I did the second shoulder correctly, and I noticed that it was shorter And so I thought, well, maybe since I knit this first one 2 months ago, my gauge is dramatically different. It looks okay. I was like, it's not like visually like that dramatic, but you know, I guess. So I knit this other second shoulder just deeper. And then I strung them all together and started knitting in the round, and then realized that the stitch counts on each shoulder were dramatically different, and I really couldn't get away with that. You know, it wasn't a mistake. 24 stitches is a lot. It's an additional 5 inches on one side. And I really wanted this sweater to be negative ease. It wasn't going to be negative. And so I had to pull it out with mohair. And the really crappy thing is, when you knit this sweater, let's see if I can describe this and show you. You have a section with mohair and wool, and then just a mohair sleeve, and then another section of wool and mohair. So the wool strand from this side gets dropped, and you just knit mohair to this side where you pick up another wool strand and you knit them together. So when I unraveled this to get myself to the place I should have stopped at, that means I had to unwind 3 balls of yarn and pull the wool and the mohair apart. So it took me like a day to get this back. I just got it back this morning to the place where I can start moving forward again. So I had to get back to the right stitch count so that I can knit straight, no increases, so that this length of the shoulder now will match this one. Then I can put them all back together in the round and keep going. So there's two. Yesterday when I realized this, there were 2 different options I knew I could choose from. I could complain about this and be really unhappy and think to myself, this is what happens when you're not careful. I could have decided that that's the thought route I could go on. Like, this is what happens when you don't count stitches, or this is the mistake that, you know, I should prevent myself from making by being more careful. I'm pretty darn careful. I haven't made a mistake like this in a really long time, like years maybe. And I hardly ever make epic mistakes where I have to rip back. And so I chose not to kind of lecture myself, but more be like, well, what does it really matter that I made an error? I chose to unravel these pieces very slowly, very consciously. I still watched a TV. I still listened to an audiobook and a podcast. I still enjoyed this time with myself, even though I was ripping back. I just decided to like, no, this is part of the knitting process. As a lot of people will say, have you ever had anybody see you have to rip something out and you're sad about it? And they're like, but it's just knitting. You get to do the thing you enjoy more, you know, and you're like, you know, that's what I chose to do. I chose to really I wasn't appreciative of what I was doing, but I just chose not to care that I was going backwards instead of forwards. Like I was still working on my project regardless of which direction I was taking it in. And I'm happy with that choice because it was helpful to tell people, you know, mohair, it sucks. Or, I have these 3 different balls I'm having to wind up as I'm, you know, taking this part section by section. Because I knew people could relate to that. But in terms of like, do I feel like in this big rush to get it back to where it was? No, I don't. It's whenever it could be tomorrow, it could be several days from now by the time I get it back to where it was when I found the mistake. So that's just the choice I made this time. There was a moment years ago when I was first learning brioche where I made a mistake and I had this thought and then I saw myself have it and was like, ugh. Then the thought was, when am I going to stop making mistakes? And I was kind of like, oh, that's not the right thought. That's that's not going to happen. I'm not going to stop making mistakes. So I shouldn't think that way. Like, let's cut that out. Let's stop that, because who cares? You make mistakes. Who cares? And I'm glad this time I got an opportunity and saw the choice that I could be like really unhappy, or I could just keep working on the project and just be going backwards instead of forwards. Anyways, this project in general, I don't think it's not going to take me very long once I get really going on it, because it's, you know, it's going to just hit my waist and then be a little bit beyond that. I will see how the mohair sleeves go. I might find that takes a long time. It might find that it doesn't take a long time. It's really interesting how the expectations that I have when I go into a project really play a huge part on how I'm going to feel about it while I'm doing it. Like with the big Lopi sweater, I thought this was going to take a really long time. That's why it was easier to make it longer, because I thought it would be more than it was. If I had gone into it thinking, oh, it's no big deal, I knit Lopi sweaters all the time, I'll just zip it right up, then I probably would have been like, oh, it's taking forever. So really, if I have the expectation that this sweater will take me a while, and I finish it when I finish it, and I'll probably go faster than if I feel like, oh, it's just a little bit of mohair sleeve, then yeah. But I am actually moving forward now. I did get it all set up, so I am on the wrong side, and I will hopefully be excited about it. Again, I also had the choice that I could have waited to rip this back. I did think about that, like, oh, maybe I'll just put it aside because I made this mistake, and I've been putting all this energy into it, and I just realized, right, that I made this big mistake, and I'm going to have to rip it out, and I might even have to frog one of the shoulders. I had to make the decision of, do I just rip back to a certain point and try to get it back on the needles, or do I take out the whole shoulder and just do it again? And do I want to do that right now, or do I just not put it aside? And I think a lot of people, when they hit a mistake, and I have done this a lot as well, when you hit a mistake like that, you just stop working on it because you got discouraged. And you'll just pick it back up later and fix it later. And I have found that when I do that, I don't want to pick that sweater back up. I don't want to finish that project. If I make myself, in my frustration, if I make myself rip it out right then and get it back on track, I am so much more likely to keep knitting it. And even though I don't really want to fix the mistake, I didn't want to fix the mistake yesterday. I knew that I was like, well, no, but I want to be working on this project right now because I have a couple other things that are coming up that I want to work on next. So, like, this is this project's time. I need to do this now, and I gotta fix it now. So that's why I spent a lot of yesterday ripping it out. And it wasn't my first choice, but I knew if I didn't do it, and it would just get lost. So unless you seriously need a break from something, you like want to light it on fire, you hate it so much, I recommend frogging out before you stop. You can not work on the project after you frog. Like, if you get your project back on track, and then, or at least rip back and secure the stitches, quit, stop, whatever, do anything you want there. But I don't think leaving the unraveling work or the frogging work until later is a good idea. Because that's just a huge step to get over to picking something back up. Easiest way to pick up a project is to have great notes, you know right where you are, and you don't have to do very much. You just pick that sucker up, find your row, and you're just going, and that means that you'll finish it, as opposed to like something you have to fix. So that's why like probably 5 minutes after I realized the mistake, I had ripped it out. I was already going. So I'm glad I did it, because now I'm back on track. Okay, then I recently cast on this tube shaped thing. Don't you think it's interesting that sometimes the inside of a 1x1 rib looks better than the outside? I don't know if you can see that the stitches just look more tidy inside out. So I might actually flip this guy inside out and use the wrong side as the outside of the hat when I'm done. We'll see what happens. You basically, when you want to do that, when you want to make the inside of your work the outside, you basically do a short row and just start working. You can like flip this inside out and start working backwards. And most of the time when you do that, that little like blip where the short row is will be like pulled into the fabric. So I'm not exactly sure how the crown shaping is going to work on this hat. So I was just thinking about that. It doesn't look that much better. Maybe it does. Anyways, I am a big fan of 2x2 ribbing, but sometimes there are projects that require 1x1, so I just have to accept that my 1x1 stitches don't look so tidy. The reason for that is that you use more wool to make purl stitches than you do knit stitches, so the purl stitches just get a little wonky and they pull on the knit V's, and so instead of seeing V's like this, you'll see them more like this. They get pulled apart more. I just think that looks untidy. This is the Manhatten Hat. I don't think I have her name. I just was introduced to her with this pattern, so I'll link her below. I can't remember her name right now. I'm using Durham Natura's Gilead, which I knit a lot of hats with this last year, and it's really nice, very springy. I think that's it. Oh my gosh, I came to the end. I do have yarn to show, I just didn't pull it down yet. So I designed a shawl a couple years ago called Meridian Lines, which is a square with tassels on each corner. You fold it over and then you wrap it around. Which is very cute. You can tuck all the ends underneath. You just have two out. I used Purl Soho's linen quill for this in 3 different colors. And this is a really fun one. You start in one corner and you expand, and then you hit the middle of the shawl and then you decrease. So you kind of make it in a diamond shape. And this yarn has this a wonderful heather to it with the linen in it. It's linen, mohair, and is it mohair? Linen, alpaca, and wool. So it's got a nice drape to it. So I'm gonna knit another one because linen quill was on sale a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to make it again. And someone I know has been making a purple version for quite a while. And so I wanted to, I don't think I got the exact colors that she did, but I wanted to make a purple one. So I got these 3. This is Lavender Opal. The dark one is Dark Iris. And then this one is Purple Smoke. So I thought that they would pair nicely with each other. And I'm not, this is going to be the majority of it. The Lavender Opal will be the black color. So I got 3 of these. I think you need 3 of the main color and 1 skein each of the other 2 colors. Yeah. So I got those. And then I also wanted to make, I think it's the half and half wrap, but the striped version. So if you go on to Purl Soho's website, and put in half and half wrap, I think it's made with linen quill as well. And I have some colors of linen quill here already somewhere. I haven't even pulled them out yet. The half and half wrap requires 6 different colors, 1 main color, and then a bunch of So I wanted to make a blues and reds shawl. I just thought that they would stripe nicely together with a cream as the like neutral main color, which I already had somewhere in here. And I already had a couple other reds. So I just got these 5. And I was going to pull out, I think I have like a reddy brown and a pink, and I'll pick whichever ones I think go back together best. So this one is kiln red, and then there's chestnut red, and then vintage celadon, which is really nice. I like this one. This is the high tide, and mountain bluebird, I think is my favorite one of the group that I got. So it's really fun to get like multiple different colors of a yarn and like put them all in a project, you know? So that was a fun yarn order. I did order yarn for a new cardigan. I mentioned I got Cascade 220 coming in the mail. The sweater I will cast on next is called the Eva cardigan by PetiteKnit, and it's really cute. I got a dark green, and I'm gonna cast that on hopefully as soon as it comes for fall. So I'll have this Wednesday sweater, and I'll have her Eva cardigan going, and then I'm also going to cast on a sweater by Melody Hoffmann soon. We're just waiting for her to release it. I'm a Patreon of hers, which means I get a beta version of her patterns as soon as they're back from the tech cutters. So I have the yarn for one of her new Icelandic wool sweaters, and I've been waiting for, I think, a year and a half since when she first started designing that one. So I'm going to cast that on ASAP as well. So I hope to get this mohair situation done so that I can work on sweaters. But we'll see. I hope things go well from now on. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're knitting something fun. Please tell me about it in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions, any topics you want me to talk about. That would be fun. Let me know. Enjoy. Thank you.